Hello there, welcome to lesson number 8 in our series on creating bracelets using FluidDesigner for 3D printing. In this lesson we're going to show you how you can create a square cross-section spiral bracelet. So if you start FluidDesigner up, first thing you need to do is to go to Learning Projects, Jewellery Projects, Bracelets. And we're doing lesson number 8, so it's 08 Parametric Spiral Bracelet. I'm going to switch on the screencast keys first of all. Oops. So any key presses I make should be displayed in the window here. And I'm just going to shut this window down a little bit, and also this one, and zoom in so you can see the bracelet that we're creating in this lesson. And in particular, if we zoom right in on the shape of the cross section here, you'll see it's more or less a square shape. And as you can see, it spirals around 3 times. So this is the object that we're going to recreate in today's lesson. A parametric spiral bracelet with a square cross section. So all the instructions are in the help panel here. And the way we're going to create this is, first of all, we're going to add a curve and then a Nurbs Circle. And this Nurbs Circle is what's going to be used to create this square cross section. So if we go to Add, Curve, and a Nurbs Circle. Now Nurbs Circles are a little bit similar to Bezier circles, which you may have come across in some of the other lessons that we do. So add curve, Nurbs Circle. And obviously it's a very small object, as is usual, 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. So if we just go to View and Zoom to Selected, we'll see that all that there is on the screen at the moment is what looks like a circle. And in the toolbox window here, there are some parameters that we can change. Location and rotation are not very important. The main thing is that we've got a radius value of 1 millimeter. So a radius of 1 millimeter will give us a diameter of 2 millimeters. So if we change the radius value, you can see quite clearly it's just increasing the size of our circle. We want to leave it at 1 millimeter. Because a cross section of 2 millimeters is probably appropriate for a bracelet. But what we do want to do is we want to change this circle into a more square format, and we can do that by going to View and view it from the top. And if we now press the Tab key, I'll just move this panel out of the way. I'm going to press the Tab key on the keyboard. Okay. You'll see that this is actually what the Nurbs Circle is made up of. It's a special object that's built into FluidDesigner, and it's made up of a number of control points. If you've done the lessons on creating vases with Bezier curves and Bezier circles, this is a similar idea. The only thing is that this is a Nurbs Circle. But we're going to change it into a square format, and the way we're going to do that is, first of all, I need to select all the control points, and the easiest way to select all is to press the A key on the keyboard. That deselects all, A selects all. So you can see that there's only 4 in this instance. They're all selected. A for deselect, A for select all. If we now click the right mouse button and subdivide, subdivide will mean creating an extra control point between these 2 control points, an extra control point between these 2, etc. So if I click subdivide, you can see it's added in some extra control points, and it's also sort of squared off the circle. And if I just do it a second time, so right click the mouse button and subdivide again, you'll see that we've got not quite a perfect square, but it's good enough for what we're going to do, and it's quite nice also to have a slightly rounded edge here for the finished object. So once we've changed that Nurbs Circle to this square cross section, we can now come out of edit mode, and we can zoom back out
I'm just scrolling the center mouse button, and we're going to just leave the Nurbs circle in the center of the screen like that. Excuse me. Now if we just scroll down the help panel here, we'll see the next thing that we want to do is to add a curve and a spiral this time. A spiral. And I'm going to open up this toolbox panel because I know that there are going to be some parameters in the toolbox panel that I'm going to need to change to recreate this spiral. So first of all we go to add, curve, and we're looking for spirals. And as you can see, there are different types of spiral that we can select, different parameters that we can change. If I just go to view and zoom to selected again, that's the default spiral, type 1. If I change it to type 2, type 3, that's a little bit better. You can see a bigger difference between 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so there are only 4 different types, but there are different types of spiral which you could play around with at some of the time. Curve type we're not going to change, and spiral direction we're not going to change, but we're going to change the number of turns. So let's see what happens when we do this. Well, it's not having much effect, is it? Alright, let me change some of the other values first of all. Let me increase the height. Okay, that's better. We want to increase the height of this up to 6, a value of 6. Okay, so it's spiraling around 3 times. Okay, I've probably gone a little bit too far there. We want a radius of 30. So let me change the radius here. Now you can see what that's doing. It's opening up, widening up the object. Now I'm just holding down the left mouse button and dragging it out. Okay, so you can see that as we change the radius, the inner diameter of this object is increasing, and when we get up to 30, and I'm going to type in 30 to make it exactly 30, excuse me, you can see the radius is 30 centimeters out there, another 30 centimeters in the other direction. That will give us an X and a Y value of 60 millimeters. The height that we changed a second ago, 6, that's this height here, but it's the height of one of the turns, and we've got 3 turns, so the total height will be 3 times 6, so the total height is about 18 millimeters. Another thing that we want to change is the radius growth, and we want to set that up at a value of 1. And what that's doing is, if you look at the object from the side like that, the radius growth means that the diameter here and the diameter to the next one are slightly different. This diameter, well, radius as I'm pointing it to it at the moment, this radius is slightly bigger than the radius at the bottom, and the radius at the top is slightly bigger than the radius in the middle, because we've got this factor, this radius growth. So we're not going to have a constant diameter inside this object. It's going to be a smaller diameter on the bottom, slightly larger in the middle, and slightly larger at the top. So it's going to be kind of tapered is the word that we use. So I'm going to enter in a value of 1 there. So that's all the values that we need to change for the spiral type. But this spiral is currently a curve. It's got no thickness, it's not going to print, and we want to give it this square cross section. And the way that we can do that is if we go to the properties panel, and we're looking for this icon here, this curve icon, because that's what this is, it's a spiral curve. And if we show the curve data information, what we want to do is to change this value here, this bevel object. We're going to change that to a Nurbs circle. The Nurbs circle is the square that we created in the center of the screen here. That's this object here
in the center of the screen. It's the first thing that we created. The Nurbs Circle is now wrapped around the spiral. So by using this bevel object, whatever shape the Nurbs Circle is, we've made it this square cross section. It will be wrapped around the spiral. Now another thing to note here is that there are no caps in the end of this object. No cap there, and there isn't one up at the top as well if I moved it around. But we can solve that by ticking this box here. So for bevel caps, for bevel curves, we need to fill it in. So you can see it's filled it in there. Now FluidDesigner's not 100% created for doing 3D printing, so that fill in there won't actually be 100% watertight, but we will be able to solve these issues in NetFab Basic. So FluidDesigner doesn't make a perfect job of fitting on that cap at the end. We're going to go to NetFab Basic to actually finalize that and make sure that this object is printable. So we've now applied all the settings that we need, except that what we also need to do is to change this from a curve into a mesh, and we do that by going to Tools, Object Tools, and converting it to a mesh. We can't print curves, we've always got to change them to meshes. So we can't make any more changes to that object now, other than we could resize the internal diameter if we weren't happy with the current size. I'm going to delete the objects at the bottom, okay, and just go to View and view it from the top and just scroll in. I can measure the internal diameter of this. It's 58 millimeters, 60 millimeters. That's pretty much what I'm looking for. You could resize this, you could scale it by pressing the S key on the keyboard and scaling it up, scaling it down, and modifying the internal diameter to say 50 millimeters or 55 millimeters. I'm not going to do that in this instance. 58 millimeters is fine. Do remember, if you scale it, you've always got to apply the scale with Control A and apply the scale. We're not going to do that here. What we're going to do is to just save this now. Always remember to go to File and Save As. Go up through the menu system. We're doing jewellery projects, bracelets, so it's 08 Parametric Spiral Bracelet, and we save that as a Blender file. We can't print Blender files, so we need to export this, and we like to do it as a wavefront object format. I'm going to export it to the desktop. So it's 08 Parametric Spiral Bracelet, a square one, and it's an OBJ file now. And go on. And then what we need to do is to go to NetFab Basic. Never send your files straight to a printer. Always check them in NetFab Basic, because we are going to have problems with this one. So if you go to Project and Open and go to the desktop, open Lesson 08 Parametric Spiral Bracelet with the square cross section, and you'll see we get a warning red triangle. And what's happening is that the way that NetFab works, it doesn't make a perfect watertight job of putting on these caps at the end. But not to worry, NetFab's going to fix that for us, and all we need to do is to go to Extras and repair the part. And you can see that there are some yellow dots around the ends there. That's NetFab telling you that there is a problem and where the problem is. So if we click on Update, you'll see that we've got a number of issues. We've got border edge problems, 1536. It sounds dramatic, but don't worry, NetFab will fix it. And it's got 4 holes and it's got 3 shells. But if we click Automatic Repair and execute it, and then click Update, you can see that what's happened is that NetFab has made all the corrections, made all the repairs automatically for you. There are no border edge problems, no orientation problems, no holes. There's only 1 shell. So what we can do is we can apply that repair and remove any old part. And you'll see that now the warning red triangle's disappeared. This is now a suitable file format for printing. all you need to do is to export it as a wavefront object, export it to the desktop, and with the extra little bit of text repaired, you need to save that, and that is the printable file. Thank you, that's the end of this lesson.